TG Geeks, episode 108, January 23rd, 2017. They're at it again. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, I cannot talk, Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, let's talk about a lot of geek to come.
Geek to
come.
Yeah, there were whatever.
Yes, in Phoenix, Arizona.
And it's good to be back.
We're back. The lights are on, and we have a sign that advertises the studio. Compliments of your sister.
Yes.
It's a nice Christmas present from her.
And I have my new computer glasses, so I can actually
see what you're doing.
So that
instead of having to look down, to the bottom of the lens.
Exactly. I can look through the top of the lens and see.
No more sore neck.
Neck aches. Yeah.
Neck aches. Yes.
So we're going to get right to it here.
Something very exciting is coming to Arizona Opera.
Yes, the new season they announced.
They announced
just
the new season
a couple of days ago,
yes.
Actually.
But there's something that's really, really intriguing, which I think will have nerds and geeks from all different walks of life wanting to check this out.
Yes.
What can you tell us about it?
It's Hercules versus the Vampires, and this is what do they call it? A Technicolor opera plays bloodsuckers with sound.
Wow, that's quite the descriptive term.
It's quite the descriptive term. We actually published an article yesterday on our website. You can go take a look at that. We'll have that link in our show notes. But it talks about Hercules versus the Vampire. It's based on Hercules in the Haunted World. And that's the 1963, was it 63?
It's a 60s movie, early 60s.
It was a Mario Bava film, Italian horror. Oh my God, so cheesy.
It's schlock.
Oh my gosh.
Pure schlock.
It's so incredibly bad that it's good. And they have taken that film, and they actually it was Oregon Opera commissioned a guy to write music and lyrics, or took the lyrics are the actual dialogue from the film and set that to music. Mm-hmm. And that's how it became Hercules versus the Vampire.
Who's in this thing? In terms of the film?
In terms of the film, Christopher Lee.
Wow.
And Reg Parker, who was
Mr. Universe.
Mr. Universe, 1958. As well as, a number of other Italian horror staples.
Yeah, and he shows up in a number of Bava films.
Right.
I was doing an IMDb on him. He was quite, and he looks the part.
Yes,
he really does.
He's the sword and sandal guy.
So
that was Italian.
I guess the really big question is, why is Arizona Opera got anything to do with this?
Well, it's interesting that you ask, because we became part of, involved with Arizona Opera last year, and right as we became involved, they were beginning to look at items for this coming, not that coming season, but this season that we're getting, that they just announced. And some of the things that were on that list were the Dracula.
Oh, the Philip Glass.
The Philip Glass, but that didn't pan out, as well as a number of other pieces, really art songs, and some different things that would bring in audiences from different walks and introduce new audiences to opera. And on that list was Hercules versus the Vampires.
I think this is one that was like towards the bottom of the list.
No
one was giving it any kind of credit.
No, but when the list came out, I actually did some research on all the pieces and really wanted Dracula, but that one was a lot of things considered. It just didn't fit with what we needed it to be.
You had to get Philip Glass. You had to hire the Kronos Quartet. You just couldn't get the score. I mean, it had to be done this particular way. It became a cost measure.
Yeah, but when I looked at Hercules versus the Vampire and saw the YouTube pieces that they had on it, it just looked incredible, and I kind of pushed for it, and then we kind of decided on it because the music is accessible and it's not too crazy, and it brings in that classic Italian horror from the 60s, late 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s, the classic Italian horror. And Mario Bava, you can't go wrong with Mario Bava for just classic cult pop culture schlock.
If you really love schlock film, the schlock horror that was such a staple of the 60s, you got to check out Bava. So, but I want to ask about the music. Now, you said it was commissioned by Oregon Opera.
Right. And
so did they, do we know anything about who wrote the music?
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up. Why don't you talk while I go bring that up?
Well, all I can simply say is that, we happen to have watched the movie. We actually saw the original film, Hercules versus the Underworld. We saw it on Amazon, Amazon Prime, and holy mother of crap, is this a bad film?
It just is so awful.
It's trashy, and the weird thing is that it is. I did an IMDb read on it, and it was filmed in Italian. But some of the people are not speaking Italian; they're speaking English. But the whole thing is dubbed in English, so it's a real mind bender.
Yeah, it's really weird because Christopher Lee is speaking Italian. I think Reg Parker is speaking English, and it's crazy. And the person that actually dubbed Christopher Lee is not Christopher Lee.
It's not Christopher Lee; it's someone else. I mean, it is so bizarre.
It's so weird. But actually, the opera is by Patrick Morganelli. He wrote the music and put the lyrics, the dialogue from the film to music. So he was the one that was commissioned to do this for Oregon Opera. They did several performances, and then LA Opera did several performances. Outside of that, I'm not sure if it's been performed anyplace else. So
it's a big deal if L.A. got. I mean, L.A. Opera's that's a respectable opera company.
Yes, and I was really excited about it just from the title and the possibilities of bringing the geek community into hear what opera is really all about, and maybe even having some new fans of opera.
Well, okay, so what is it? What is it about opera that you think could really appeal to geeky fans?
It's larger than life. One of the pieces that they're doing next season is Das Rheingold, and it's all about Norse gods. And I mean, there's that whole culture of just weirdness and supernatural and horror and etc. I mean, Tosca, which is another one that they are doing next season, it can be a thriller. It could be a horror film.
I had not considered that, but when you can, of course, I speak from experience having seen the opera several times, but so I know who the antagonist is. But the idea of it being some kind of a stalkerish thriller makes it kind of intriguing.
It really is, because he is stalking her. It's true.
Wow.
Scarpia is stalking Gloria Tosca.
He does stalk her. That is a really
even kills her boyfriend.
He kills the boyfriend too, and then, well, we won't say what happens to him, but wow, I hadn't really given that much thought. So, okay, so there is, in terms of the story content from opera to opera, there is something to be said about why geeks might really find opera to be fascinating.
And
it's not just music.
Yeah. Besides the beautiful music, I mean, there's just a lot of.
Well, if you like good music, but for people who are not, I'm not going to say don't like music, but who are not really well versed. I mean, I think opera's got a lot of stagecraft.
Oh, absolutely.
That makes it interesting. There's so much wrapped up in opera itself that makes it very appealing to anybody that is of in a multitude of little geeky demographics, I would think.
Yeah, and there's so many different things that you can look at in the opera world for various genre pieces, shall we say.
Right.
Elements of genre, pop culture. I mean, there are a lot of pop culture items in opera today.
Well, and
that are being written today.
Right, and I was just thinking about how a couple of years ago we saw a horror. It was a one-act opera, but oh my word, it has to have been one of the best one-act operas we've ever seen, and that was Bluebeard's Castle.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was
and that was pure horror.
It was pure horror.
I mean, it was
incredible.
It was spine-tingling. I mean, it really made the hairs on my neck just stand up. Yep. It was so well done. So, what can you tell us about this? Anything else about Hercules versus the Vampires?
That's about all there are, except that the performances are going to be 2 performances, October 21st and 22nd in 2017 at the Symphony Hall. So
that's here in Phoenix.
Here in Phoenix, we will have a link to Arizona Opera's website and to the specific page for Hercules versus the Vampires. We would love to try to get some geeky meetup prior to the performances.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
It's Saturday and Sunday.
That'd be great fun.
So, yeah. And spread the word.
And I believe now in the article that you released yesterday, there is a video.
Yes, the actual video that was done as the trailer for Arizona Opera's production of Hercules versus the Vampires.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's excellent.
It's not. It shows parts of the film and some of the music and obviously the titles and for Arizona Opera, etc.
Do they have some of the singing just to kind of give a sense of how that goes?
I don't think there's any singing.
Oh,
but
darn.
We do have. If you look on Amazon or not Amazon, if you look on YouTube, you can. If you look up Hercules versus the Vampires, there are a couple of snippets. One from Oregon and a couple from LA Opera. So it's really kind of neat. The singing's not bad, and the music is, I mean, it's dialogue right out of the film, and the cheesy dialogue right out of the film. So it's really good. So in addition to the Hercules versus the Vampire as a special engagement, the rest of the season for Arizona Opera is Tosca, and Tosca will be Phoenix November 17th through the 19th. Candide by Leonard Bernstein, which is actually to coincide February 2nd through the 4th in Phoenix, to coincide with Leonard Bernstein's 100th anniversary of his birth. And excuse me. Then we have Barber of Seville, which is
pure comedy.
Pure comedy, and it's got obviously the big Figaro opera. Figaro. And
yeah, I mean everybody's heard that at some point.
Yes.
In fact, I would say this: the overture, to Barber of Seville became very, very famous. Compliments of Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
So if you're a big Looney Tunes fan and you hear that overture, you're going to immediately recognize it.
Barber of Seville is March 9th through the 11th, and it's just an incredible opera. And then closing out the season in Phoenix in April 6th through the 8th, Das Rheingold by Richard Wagner, the first opera in the epic 4-opera ring cycle.
5 or 4?
5.
5 4.
5 4. 3 for 5. 5 for 4. I think I put 5 in
the
article.
4.
I think I have to go fix that.
It is 4 operas.
It is 4 operas.
But sometimes it feels like 5.
It feels like 5, exactly.
Especially when you get to the last of the cycle. Get a Damarung really feels like 2 operas.
Exactly.
So it's really long.
Check out the season. There are some really. And it's not that expensive to go to the opera.
No,
it really isn't. It's actually quite.
It's quite affordable.
Inexpensive.
It's a lot of fun, and don't feel like you have to be all hoity-toity and
dressed up.
No, I mean
we've seen people in shorts and flip-flops. So.
Yeah, actually, we have.
Yep,
we have seen people dress. Especially during the warmer part of the season, the last part of the season. Yeah, it's guys like that.
So it really is something to behold. We really love opera.
Yes, we do.
Quite some while.
And speaking of opera,
opera,
I guess you wanted to bring this up because you found this to be a fun trivia on your part.
Yeah, this is just a little bit of trivia. Speaking of opera, and actually the Met Opera radio, which plays routinely in our house and in the car, they were playing La Troyenne from Hector Berlioz. And the interesting thing about that opera is, remember in Star Trek First Contact when Picard is standing in his quarters alone in the dark, and there's this opera playing in the
Yes.
background, and then Riker comes in and can't get Picard's attention because it's so loud,
Yeah.
and everything's rattling on the
Yeah.
shelves and everything, and he says, Bizet?
Yeah, and Picard responds with Berlioz.
It was La Troyenne, and it was actually Act 5, Scene 1 from La Troyenne, and it's the piece that's called Vallon Sonora. Probably said that incorrectly, but anyway, the interesting thing about that piece and the interesting tie-in to First Contact is from Wikipedia, Act 5, Scene 1, the harbor of Carthage, Hylas sings his song of longing for home alone. And 2 sentries mockingly comment that he will never see his homeland again. It is so poignant.
And
that
it helps. It really puts that moment that Picard is in a great deal of context, because he knows. For anybody who's seen the movie at this point, he already knows why the Enterprise is off doing what they're doing. They're right now. They're exploring the neutral zone because of the Borg. Blah 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 blah, and because of Picard's experience, it's really affecting him.
Yeah.
So
he knows that can never go home because he has no family left anymore.
That's right. His family died in the previous film.
Yes, and so it really is very poignant.
Yeah.
So,
wow. That's really something to consider.
yeah.
So you check it out.
Funny, interesting little thing. So check
Right.
out First Contact, and you'll hear that.
Yes. Now. Yeah. Absolutely. It's actually it's a very difficult aria. So, but I think the rest of La Troyenne is actually quite listenable.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
So, switching over to stuck on the Star Trek, and I want to just touch on this really briefly. Star Trek Discovery.
Oh boy,
This is a show that's in a lot of trouble already. I mean, it hasn't even aired yet.
They haven't even started filming yet.
Well, I think they've started. Well, no, actually, they haven't. They don't start production till the end of this month. How tragic is that?
Yep.
And
it was originally supposed to be released in March.
Originally, March. That's and then it got pushed back to May, and now we find out it's been pushed back even further, and it hasn't even been given a date.
Yep. So kind of sad.
I find that really disturbing. The only positive is there's more casting news. That's the only exciting thing.
Yep.
Casting news.
One of the bad things was several people have left the show already.
A number of people. In fact, probably the figure that has got everybody upset. No more Brian Fuller.
Yep. So it's kind of sad, but
I'm very worried about that. To me,
he was kind of the one riding herd on the canon, and making sure that it's going to be done right.
He was very much entrenched with Voyager, so he understood Star Trek canon, and he's a fan.
Right.
And now he's kind of been. He was then shifted over to executive producer. Now he's gone. Everybody's kind of worried. Paramount or CBS is, they're right now saying, we've done this just so that we can be flexible and make sure that we do it right. Everything's really good. Meanwhile, Star Trek fans all over the place are worrying up a storm. So we just have to kind of wait and see. I'm a little nervous about it.
Apprehensive.
I'm very apprehensive, but we have the full story for that if you want to read the whole thing. The links for that and some of the other things that we've already talked about on this show will be available in our show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
And
wow, birthdays.
Yep. Here are a few selected birthdays for January 23rd through January 29th. And a couple of birthdays of our loyal listeners and friends that we missed during our hiatus. On January 5th was Canberra Potter from BTI.
Love her.
Origin Beyond.
Oh, I want to talk to her some more.
The Fembot, yes.
She is she's a force of nature.
Yes, she is. Also on January 6th, Terry L. Smith, an author friend of ours that was we were introduced by Jeannie Koch.
That's right.
Her stuff is pretty good, so you check it out. January 7th, Mr. Hamish Downey.
We love
living
Hamish.
in Japan. January 9th, Jessica Ingham of BTI fame.
We love
Yes,
Jessica.
we love Jessica,
Oh, she's such a
too.
sweetheart.
Yeah. On January 14th, Jack Mangan, a friend of ours
Yep.
and a former Slice alumni, shall we
Yep.
say. January 18th, Mr. Scott Lindner, one of our most loyal listeners.
Yes.
Yes, and also January 19th, Mr. Michael Hickerson of another Slice alumni.
Yeah, there's always the big argument, who was the bigger Doctor Who fan.
Exactly. January 23rd, Sonny Chiba, Cheetah Rivera, Rutger Hauer, Richard Dean Anderson, John Hancock, and Randolph Scott.
Randolph Scott!
And who's this guy?
Keith Laney?
Lane?
Lane.
Oh, here we go. There
Why
we
do
go.
I know that name?
I don't know.
I think I'm married to him.
There you go. January 24th, Ernest Borgnine, D.L. Diamond, John Belushi, and Michio Kaku. January 25th, Dean Jones of
Wow.
the Love Bug fame, yes, among other things. Etta James, wonderful singer. W. Somerset Maugham. Robert Burns, poet and lyricist of Scotland. He was most famous for, well, not most famous, but he's famous for Auld Lang Syne.
Well, I think he's most remembered now.
Yeah. But he's actually the favorite son of Scotland.
Aha.
In fact, there's always in January the Robbie Burns supper that they have to celebrate his birth date.
So does Auld Lang Syne have any kind of Scottish connotation then? Because, I mean, we always sing it. Well, I mean,
Well, he wrote the poem, so...
Well, it's got to have some... I mean, well, all it knows, everybody said, what does that song mean? I have no idea what it means. And, you know, I'm just kind of wondering. Maybe it's more cultural than anything else.
Yeah, he wrote in Scot, in the native language as well as in English, but it's just is. It is what it is. Also on January 25th, Mr. Craig Stepp of Technorama, Mr. Steppy, and Jeannie Koch.
Oh, we love Jeannie.
We love Jeannie, author of the Alien Catherine Kitty Cat series.
Yes.
Yes, we love that. January 26th, Ellen DeGeneres, Anita Baker, Paul Newman, Eddie Van Halen, Bob Euchre,
Just a bit outside.
Maria Von Trapp, and Gene Siskel. January 27th, James Cromwell, Patton Oswalt, Donna Reed, who made every housewife have to wear a string of pearls.
And
doing
high
housework.
heels.
And heels,
I mean,
yes.
you have to be dressed
Oh my God.
a skirt, heels, and pearls. Between her and Beaver's mother, Mrs. Cleaver, I mean, you had to be dressed like for Sunday best.
Yeah, to clean house.
To clean the house and to cook the meal for the husband when he comes home.
Yep. Also on January 27th, Troy Donahue, Mikhail Baryshnikov, Jerome Kern, Lewis Carroll, and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. January 28th, Jackson Pollock, Elijah Wood, who actually was a producer. Yeah, he was a producer of Greasy Strangler.
He was a producer on this
Yes,
film?
he was. He was.
Well, the man's I love Elijah Wood. He's a loon.
Yep. And Greasy Strangler, if you haven't seen that, oh my God, you have. Now, we have to say,
see it in a group, see it in a
see
theater.
it in a group, or see it in a theater, or, you know, it's not a couple
Don't rent
watching
it and bring
by
it home.
themselves.
No. Have a party.
No, have a party and watch this thing.
It's mad.
Oh, it's mad. All I can say is hootie tootie disco cutie.
Oh, that's it. Yes.
Oh, my Lord. Also, January 28th, Alan Alda and fellow podcaster Kevin Batchelder. December 29th, Oprah Winfrey, Adam Lambert, Greg Louganis, John Forsyth, W.C. Fields, and Mr. Thomas Paine. And that's it for
Deep breath.
the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say,
Get away from me, you cool person.
Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
God forbid.
That was just for you, Chuck.
Yep.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama. And now, it's time for a little feedback.
Yeah, not quite so epic feedback.
Hopefully. Of course, we had lots and
Lots of
feedback. So this is just kind of the highlights here.
Well, I'm decided to. I just took the first bunch, and then I'll take the next bunch, and then I'll take the next bunch. Eventually, we'll catch up.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, starting back, our last episode 107, where we announced we were going to be taking a much needed holiday, and for anybody who doesn't know why we did, it's because we were tired. We were burned out. I mean, we really worked our butts off. The last part of
August. Oh my God, we just go.
Yeah, we
go,
never
go.
stopped.
I mean, we didn't stop.
No, I mean, right from Horrible Imaginings on, we were just go, and we really wiped ourselves out, and we really needed a break.
Yep.
So we had some really wonderful comments from episode 107, which is the last one. And I remember I said some really great things about Tom Arvid Gulbranson for the contributions that he's given us for the show. And he said, thank you so much for the love, you guys. I'm still blushing. Well, Tom, we love you, and we love what you've done for the show. We really have. Then we got a nice little comment from birthday boy Hamish Downey.
Yeah.
And he said, have a great vacation and happy holidays. Sorry for the vicious cycle of thank yous, but I always feel it would be rude to not say anything. I think that means we can probably get something else for this episode now.
Yeah, exactly.
Will. And then we'll announce that, and then he'll say
get
something.
two thank yous.
Yeah,
one for the comment and one for the birthday.
Yeah, and actually we'll probably get several because I know that he's left more feedback since then.
Yep.
And then good friend Jeff Patton, he said, thank you two so very much for your support and happy holidays. And then we got a message from Arkle, and this is again back to episode 107, and he says, I got the impression from the episode that at the very least Ben may not have heard any churches. Now it's spelled chvrches, CHVRCHS, but it's pronounced churches. He says, anyway, at least Ben may not have heard any churches music. If so, it is time to fix this. He gave a YouTube link to it. And then he also added, just once, I'd like to see a movie of The Mummy that's based on Anne Rice's book of the same name. Ooh, I would like that because I've read the book and it's really, 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 really good. It's a really good take on it. Anyway, he continues on. Well, sort of the same name. The book's full title is The Mummy or Ramses the Damned, but for obvious reasons, the movie can't be called that. But for obvious reasons, the movie can't be called that. But really, The Mummy is the only book of hers I actually liked. I've read a couple of others that I liked first. So naturally, that's the only one that no one has tried to adapt. Kind of ironic since the book started out life as a rejected CBS pilot script. Well, thank you for filling us in on that one, Brian. And of course, there is no God. Her vampire books have 9,000 sequels, while The Mummy, despite ending on an excellent cliffhanger, where an immortal and pissed-off Cleopatra is wandering around 1920s Africa. No sequel was ever written. Gah! So tell us what you really think, Brian. And then we got a message from our favorite twins.
The Lookie.
Just dropping by to say, Happy New Year. And there's another year of posting great content for movie lovers around the world.
Yes.
And we say thank you, and we really want you to be on our show.
Yes, we do. Please.
Anyway, yes. And then,
please.
And then we also ran a review for Rogue One, and the link for that will be in the show notes as well, in case you want to know what we thought about it. And good friend of ours, he's Tom Lynn, he says, my only complaint about this movie is that it doesn't add much story-wise to the franchise. We learn a bit about the Death Star's origins and not much else. And then we got a response to that from another good friend, Tiffany Wilhelm, and she writes, good point. I'd have liked to learn more about the rebellion. I'm not watching Star Wars Rebels, so if it's happening on that show, it doesn't help me. Put me in the movie universe. I've already left my comments on that, so in fact, if anybody wants to know what I thought about it, again, check out the review. I gave a response to them regarding why I like the movie so much, and that was in my review, so you can always see that. And then a very, very dear friend of ours, Darren Anderson from the UK, he writes, very clever to link it with the end of the 1977 film. And yes, when we saw the movie and that ending in Rogue One happens, the gasps that happened throughout the theater and the cheers were quite deafening. And then we got a response from Kurt in Calgary, and he writes, so you're saying they haven't gone, dramatic pose, rogue with this one? Ba-dum-bum. Now, I need to add something. He also gave the cutest little graphic from CSI Miami with David Caruso's character, who always liked to give those dramatic pauses.
Yep.
And looks.
Kinda
Followed by the Who going, yeah! For anybody who's seen the opening credits. Anyway, it's something you've had to have read. It was very, very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And we thank you, Kurt. And then also, we ran a story about how good is Michael Giacchino. And this is in regards to the snippet of the score that he wrote for Rogue One. And we got a comment from Chris McMahon on our YouTube channel. And he wrote, the piece played in the video, when it starts, sort of reminds me of his score for Jurassic World. And again, Giacchino is showing
a chameleon.
What kind of a chameleon the man really is. But he not only mimics style, he creates. So he's able to create memorable themes in the style of somebody else, in addition to being able to write in his own fashion. And that's why I think Giacchino is probably like the greatest composer that I'm not going to say the greatest because that's really too much, but the one who's like really hitting the ball.
He's hot now.
The guy's hot.
Yep.
He really is. He's just knocking it out of the park every time he's hired for a film. And one of my favorite things he's ever written was the closing music to Doctor Strange. It's like so psychedelic prog that I just absolutely loved it. And for now, that is the end of our feedback.
We do want to hear from you, our listeners. You are important to us. We want to know what you think of the show, what you think of the articles that we run on the website, etc. Please play nice. If you do, leave us feedback. I know I've said that 5 million times, but
we have to say it 5 million times.
There's a historical reference to that. So anyway, the historical documents, yes. Anyway, you can look up our Facebook page at TG Squared Studios or as a TG Geeks webcast, where you can comment on our episodes or articles we publish. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes or at our website, tggeeks.com, directly on each article. And you could receive a shout out on a future episode like those people did. You can also call our listener feedback line, and we'll play your comment on air. That's 469-TG-GEEKS. That's 469-844-3357.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director-producer of Morning After.
And I'm Christian Hotko, writer and actor of Morning After. And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a couple of things we want to talk about. We've watched a couple of shows, during our break. One of them we sort of ran a story on, and I'd seen a lot of push for it, and it looked kind of interesting. It looked like one of these family-friendly kind of sci-fi shows, and it was called Beyond.
Yeah, it was from it's ABC Family or something.
Well, it's the channel that used to be ABC Family.
I see.
And it's now also they also do streaming, and that's kind of how we saw it. And wow.
Interesting premise. Had good promise. The premise had promise.
It did. I thought it started off really mysteriously.
Yeah. And then it just kind of I was not it left me flat. Let me put it that way.
Well,
I'm trying not to say anything bad about it because it wasn't bad. It was just not my cup of tea. It had really good promise. There were some interesting plot points, but then it just kind of fizzled out for me anyway.
Well, part of the problem for me is that it took a very weird left turn, which sort of, and of course, the entire series, if you are a subscriber to this one streaming service, the entire series is available through them. It's also available totally on, I believe, Hulu. If you're a Hulu subscriber, you can actually see the entire series there, and it's also, the entire thing is available on iTunes. My problem is that they introduce something in the very first episode, and then by about halfway through, they do this very, very weird change, which it does not fit with where they brought you in the first episode. So I don't know if maybe the showrunners totally forgot how our hero ends up in this situation. And that was my problem, is that at first you're led to believe this series is going to be this. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's not that, it's something else, but they're hoping you don't remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was very disappointed in that respect. And the character does some very weird things, which even, given the circumstances that he's been thrust into, I thought his actions really were questionable.
Yeah, and there was some just really odd things about it. Yeah.
I mean,
I'll just leave it at that.
I was it left with a somewhat optimistic ending, a tiny bit of a cliffhanger. It didn't quite have the resolution that I'd hoped for, the way they could have brought some of the characters together, but oh well. We didn't write any articles on this one or the next show we're about to talk about, but it's just something we thought we would have a little chat about. And now we have to talk about something we really liked.
Oh my.
And I'll have to thank David Wagner, because he turned Mark Biaggi, friend of the show, onto this, and therefore turned us onto it. And this was Travelers, and we did run a story on this about this show that was coming to Netflix.
What an incredible show!
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm sure I really want to know what your thoughts are on this. What was it about it that got you hooked?
It was very much like Continuum, which we really liked.
Mm-hmm.
The science was pretty sound. There were some things that were kind of iffy, but they did kind of address those things in the science, but other than that, the character development was great. Just the story and the intensity of it was just incredible. I loved it.
I thought, again, this was aired on Netflix. Now, it's a Canadian show, so this is not a Netflix original. It was, I can't remember the network that did it. I want to say it was, I think their sci-fi channel is something called like Sky, something like that. But anyway, this is very much a Canadian production. So for anybody who watches a lot of Canadian shows, Canadian sci-fi shows, they will recognize a number of faces. In fact, the people that were involved in this, you had people from Continuum and Stargate SG-1.
Yes.
Who were involved in the production of this. Yep. So naturally, we saw people from these shows, being, I don't say recycled, because these are not the same characters. They're totally different characters. But we saw a lot of familiar faces. So there's that little joy to see, actors that we've enjoyed in past television coming back to work on this.
Right.
Wow. One of the
I can't
things.
say enough good about it.
No, I really can't. But one of the things that I really get the sense, and this is where the continuum aspect comes in, is whoever the showrunner is, he had this thing mapped out.
Right.
He had an understanding of, this is my beginning, this is going to be my end. I'm sure he has a final endpoint, but he's got milestones, he's got markers, and said, I'm aiming for this marker, I'm aiming for this marker, and with the idea that, okay, assuming that the show runs more than 1 year, this is where I want my first year to end, this is where I want my second year to end. And that's why Continuum was such a great show.
Right.
Because he understood, this is where I want my goal. This is my goals, my short-term goals. These are my long-term goals, and they're already doing that. So the series never feels like it's being bled dry. It's not milked to death. It's not stretched. Each story is very, very condensed, but not to the point where you feel like you're getting a bunch of info dump.
Right.
And there are some even there have been shows where they've had an idea where they want to go, and then they have nothing after that. So then they start taking these really bizarre left turns as they're winging it, as they're improvising. Not this one. The left turns and the surprises are very well thought out. They're planned. They're deliberate. So you feel like you're not being jerked. And that's what I liked about it. So even when you thought, oh my gosh, they've solved it, but there's still 4 more episodes. What are they going to do? Ooh, here's an interesting little plot complication that nobody saw coming, but it's an intelligent one. And that's what I liked about this. I'm very excited to see where the series is going to go.
Yeah.
It handles there is a time travel concept to it. It's handled very smart. And it even leaves our heroes questioning reality,
Right.
in a way. So it's terribly, terribly smart. I'm very, very happy about it.
It is a great film, a great series. You should watch it.
Absolutely available on
out
Netflix.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now,
Oh my.
Now we got a couple of movies I want to address on, and we'll have the links for the reviews for this in our show notes. And the first one, this one's painful. This one's very, very painful. This is the latest. I'm going to say it. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Yep.
It's his movie Split. Wow.
Wow.
And here's the shocker. As of yesterday, this movie made $40.2 million in the box office. It's a hit. But maybe that's because there's nothing else out.
Well, that's true.
And I would think the reason this movie is a hit is because of its star, and that's James McAvoy.
James McAvoy did an incredible job.
He
Lord.
is the redeeming element in this film. Well, our lead actress, she's not bad. I kind of liked her. That I'm trying to find. I've got her name written here somewhere. I thought she was amazing. I've got the review up, and I can't even find her name. How embarrassing of me. I thought she was really, really good. But the real star of this film is James McAvoy. They even did some really bizarre stunt casting with Betty Buckley.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an actress. People probably best know her for being the matriarch figure in 8 is Enough. For 80s ABC television, and she was also a Grammy Award winner, not Grammy but Tony Award winner. She originated the part of Grisabella in the play Cats.
Yeah.
On Broadway, and here she's meaningless.
Yeah, she's kind of wasted.
She's totally wasted, and I mean that not wasted like Stoner. Her character is useless. Because she serves no point.
Yeah, this is another one of those that the premise had promise, and then he lost his way. There were so many places that he could have gone, and then I'll I'll just say this: it ends with a pat on him patting himself on the back.
Oh, it is so
It
self-congratulatory.
really,
And I hated that.
James McAvoy did a great job. There was a lot of promise to the story, but it just, for me, it didn't deliver.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Split is about a man with 24 different personalities. And the way McAvoy is actually able, he carries himself physically different in every persona that he plays. There's just something about him that you get. He really understood the physical mannerisms of every person. I mean, when he's Phoebe, I think that's the female.
No,
was Rachel?
No,
I cannot remember the name of the female he plays.
I don't remember either.
I can't remember her name, but he plays a female at one point. And he carries himself with a certain sense of elegance to it. And then he plays a rather stalkerish character. And, Patricia, that's her name.
Patricia, yeah.
Yeah, when he plays Patricia, he really carries himself like a woman. And then when he's the teenage boy, Hedwig, he has this
9-year-old.
9-year-old, but at the same time, there's something very youthful about him. He really embodies each of these personas. I mean, this was so brilliant of him to be able to turn these characters on a dime. But that's the only thing I liked about it. I mean, everything else after that is just a complete waste. And in terms of the final surprise, the final twist, in our screening, when it happened, I heard nothing but complaints and, oh my God, is that it kind of comment. It's like everybody in the theater hated it. I mean, it was dreadful. So... however, there are critics who like it. I mean, and pun intended, but the reviews are split on this one. Half the audience hates it, half the audience loves it. Check it out for yourself. Some people are saying if you dare. Some people are saying this is a return to form for M. Night. I don't think so. I think this is one of the worst things he's ever done. Seriously, I mean, this is really just bad, just bad. I mean, I really hated the film. So there it is. But I want to end this episode on a completely up note. We saw the most beautiful film that we've ever had the pleasure of going to a screening for, and that is the movie is called A Monster Calls.
Wow, it was.
All I can say, people, look at the link for the review in the show notes for this episode. This is one of the most beautiful monster films I've ever seen. It's an art film.
Yep, it is.
This is a pure art film, and it left everybody in the theater in tears more than once.
We saw it just before the holiday, and the emotions of the holiday notwithstanding,
right?
It would have brought me to tears anyway.
Mm-hmm. What was some of it that you really liked?
The way the monster understood.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it. And I just like the whole film. It's hard to say for me what was the best part.
I would agree with that, because I actually in my review, and I even said this afterwards when we were talking to the representative from the press company, the press agency. I said I hate to call this the perfect film, because that's that it almost comes off as a generality, but it's not. This is the perfect film.
Yep.
There is not one weak point to this movie. It is 100% perfection. What do you think of the cast?
The cast was incredible. The kid that played the lead was able to turn the emotions on, and
his name is the character's name is Connor, and the actor is Lewis McDougall.
Yeah, he was really good.
Oh my word,
really good.
That young man. I mean, I can see his face. I mean, the performances are visceral.
Yep.
I mean, it leaves you feeling raw when you walk out of the theater, because I think it forces you to tap into some very painful emotions as you watch it. I mean, this is a movie about grief.
Yep.
And anger.
And dealing with that.
Yeah, and really dealing with all of that. It is an absolutely beautiful film. It is out now. I don't know where in theaters. They may be playing more in art houses instead of the mainstream cinema. I mean, the cast is really solid. The monster is voiced by Liam Neeson. You have the mother. She's played by Felicity Jones, and she, for anybody who doesn't quite remember who that is, or the name sounds familiar, she was Jyn Erso, the star of Rogue One. Yep. Jyn Erso was her character. And you also had Sigourney Weaver, who did, in her own way, played an admirable job.
Yes.
You know, Sigourney is another one of these very underrated actresses. She's really very, very good. And she nailed the part of the grandmother. She got it just right.
Yep.
I mean, this movie is absolutely beautiful. If you want to know what we think about it, check out the review on our website at tggeeks.com. The link will be in our show notes. And then see the movie. I really recommend it. See it with a loved one.
Yep.
Don't see this movie alone.
No.
See it with a loved one. Talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking about it really gets me emotional. This is one of the most beautiful films I've ever watched in my life.
Yep. As always, we have follow-up items. Check out our calendar on the website. If you have a birthday or an event, be it a con, film festival, or whatnot, send us a note. We'll put it on there. And as everyone knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators. And if you hear of somebody that's doing some kind of crowdfunding campaign, please consider supporting it. Usually you can get in for as little as $1, $5. You never know. You might be part of something big. Consider supporting independent creators. Phoenix Comicon is back on Memorial Day this year, May 25th through the 28th, 2017. Tickets and hotel booking information is available on their website. Check phoenixcomicon.com. Verde Valley Comic Book Expo, April 1st, 2017. There's going to be details coming really soon. They've already released some things about that. And I can't remember.
Is there? I was going to say, is there a website for them to go to on that?
Not yet.
So they're just basically revealing news by way of email.
Yeah, email
or Facebook
and Facebook.
Aha.
Yeah. So we'll give as much information as we can.
All right. Special shout out to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. The Fancast Guide republishes our stories quite regularly, and that makes us happy. It is published by Doctor Who Talking Who. They are on Twitter, and their Twitter handle is @TalkingWho. And you heard some feedback earlier from our friend Arkle. He has the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, which also, he likes to put our stuff out there as well. And you can find that by going to his Twitter handle. He is @Arkle Social Justice Scald. And he also has on Tumblr the Incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Now, we have shared some quotes in the past. They are terribly amusing, and many of them will have you scratching your head saying, how the heck did anybody come up with that one?
Yep.
So check that out on Tumblr. The Incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. We'll have the link for that in the show notes. And special thanks also to Sci-Fi Obsession. They are always republishing our stories on Facebook. They can be found at facebook.com/sci-fi-ob. That is SCIFIOB.
And we want to give a shout out to Loki Show. The twins are really great. We love the twins. They're always giving us so much love on Twitter. You can check them out on Twitter @Lookie Show, and you can catch their YouTube show as if you look up Lookie Show. They do reviews of old movies and new movies.
Yes.
And kind of campy, but a lot of fun.
Oh, a lot
really
of fun.
Good
yes.
reviews as well.
Absolutely love it.
Good information.
Special shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek. Why? Well, because, we're gay and we're geeks. But oh man, the content on that page is really outstanding. Really awesome people. Really, really good content there. And they allow us to post our episodes on their page. Yahoo! Thank you to special moderator Jeremiah Reeves for giving us his blessings. And you can find it by going to facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek.
Thanks, Jeremiah. And we want to remind you to occasionally click on our Amazon ads. They're on the right-hand side in the margins, and also at the end of each of our articles. You don't have to buy anything. Just click on them every once in a while. If you do choose to buy something, buy it through one of our search ads. We get a little bit of a kickback. Thank you for your consideration. And lastly, please rate us on iTunes.
Yes, because the more people who rate us, especially if it's positive, the higher our rating goes. And next time anybody needs to do any kind of search on podcasts, that's kind of geeky, our name will bubble to the top.
Maybe that will get discovered. Up next week, we're going to have an interview with an author with whom some of you may be familiar. Tune in next week to find out who it is. And I love the sine wave on that one. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page to the stuff that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.